Asterisk, it had been 2 days since John saw the little girl. He still remembered that rainy night. She was standing at his door, cold, wet, and starving. She didn't say a word, just looked at him with big glowing eyes. He gave her food, let her sleep by the fire, and in the morning, she was gone. John had searched for her in the forest nearby, but found nothing. Only strange footprints, not like any animal he had seen before. Since then, something in him had changed. He felt uneasy. The silence around his cabin didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt watched. That evening, John was chopping firewood behind his cabin when he heard it again, a sound he hadn't heard in 2 days. A soft knock on the door. He dropped the axe and rushed to the front. When he opened the door, she was there. Same little girl, thin, pale, wearing the same dirty clothes. But this time, she wasn't alone. Standing behind her was a tall woman, taller than any woman John had seen. Her skin was pale like moonlight, her hair black and straight, falling down to her waist. She wore something like a dark robe, but it shimmered strangely in the sunlight. John froze. The woman looked at him with calm, deep eyes. She placed a gentle hand on the little girl's shoulder. The girl didn't speak, but looked up at John with a slight smile, like she knew he'd open the door again. "Hello," the woman said softly. Her voice was clear, but something about her accent was off, almost like she was learning the words as she spoke them. Thank you, for food, for help." John stepped aside slowly, motioning them inside. "Come in." They entered the cabin. The woman looked around carefully, as if trying to understand every object. The little girl went straight to the fireplace and sat on the rug. John poured them both water, but the woman didn't drink. The girl sipped slowly. "What's your name?" John asked the woman. She paused, then said, "I am called Rin." She pointed to the child. "She is Iya." John nodded. "I'm John." Rin looked tired. Her eyes moved around the room, like she was expecting danger to come through the walls. "You're not from around here," John said. Rin gave a faint smile. "No, we are hiding," John frowned. "From who?" Rin didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the little girl, Aya. The girl looked back at her mother with wide eyes. It was clear they shared something silent, something deeper than words. After a moment, Rin stood up and walked to the window. She pulled the curtain slightly and stared outside. "They will look for us," she said. "They do not stop." "Who?" John asked again. Rin turned back to him. "Bad ones, hunters." John felt a chill. He didn't know if she meant criminals, soldiers, or something else. But her tone was serious. "You helped her," Rin said, looking at Aya. "You are kind. She remembers." Aya smiled and held up a small wooden spoon from John's kitchen. "Soup," she whispered. John chuckled nervously. "Yeah, you liked my soup." That night, they stayed in the cabin. John gave them blankets. Aya slept on the couch. Rin sat near the fire, unmoving, eyes always watching the door. John tried to sleep, but his mind was racing. He woke in the middle of the night to a soft sound, whispering. He stepped out of bed and walked quietly toward the living room. The fire was low, casting long shadows on the walls. Aya was still asleep, but Rin was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the floor. Her eyes were closed, and she was whispering something in a language John couldn't understand. He stood there, listening. The words were strange, flowing like a song, but sharp, like a knife. Suddenly, Rin stopped. She opened her eyes slowly and looked straight at John. "You shouldn't listen," she said calmly. John stepped back, unsure what to say. "I'm sorry," he mumbled, and turned to go back to bed. As he lay down, his heart was pounding. Who were they really? Where did they come from? And what were they running from? In the morning, John woke up to silence again. He rushed to the living room. Aya was there, drawing with a piece of charcoal on a paper. She smiled when she saw him, but Rin was gone. "Where's your mom?" John asked. Aya tilted her head and pointed to the door. John ran outside. The forest was quiet. No wind. No sound. He looked around, searching for any sign of her. That's when he saw it. Deep footprints in the dirt, like something heavy had landed, and then disappeared. The next morning. The cabin felt different. John had lived alone for years, but now silence made him nervous. His home didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like something was watching. Rin was gone. He had looked everywhere. Behind the cabin, near the trees, even in the old shed. No signs of her. No goodbye. Just strange, deep footprints outside like someone with metal shoes had walked away. But Iya, the little girl, stayed. She acted calm. Too calm. She sat at the kitchen table, drawing with a pencil. Her paper was full of stars, circles, and symbols John had never seen before. He watched her, confused. She hummed softly as she drew. "Where's your mom?" he asked again. Aya stopped drawing. She looked up with her glowing eyes. "She is not gone," she said quietly. "She watches," John blinked. "From where?" Aya looked toward the ceiling, above. John felt cold. Before he could speak again, she stood up, walked to the fireplace, and reached into her small bag. From it, she pulled out something shiny and strange, a smooth silver cube. No buttons, no screen. "What's that?" he asked. Aya didn't answer. She held it in both hands, closed her eyes. And the cube began to glow. Suddenly, a soft blue light rose from the cube and formed a map, a floating star map, right in the middle of the room. Planets, moons, galaxies, all spinning slowly. John stepped back, stunned. He had seen holograms in movies, sure. But this was real. Too real. Aya pointed to a small blinking star on the far side of the map. "That was home," she said. John stared at it. "What do you mean was?" She looked at him sadly. "Home is gone." Before John could ask more, the front door creaked open. He turned quickly. It was Rin. But she looked different. Her skin had cracks, glowing faint blue from inside. Her eyes were dimmer. Her robe was torn, and small sparks flickered from her shoulder. John stared. "What happened to you?" Rin stepped in slowly. "I had to move, quickly. They are closer now." John looked at her shoulder. It wasn't bleeding. It was sparking, like a machine. You're not human," he whispered. Rin looked at him calmly. "No, I tried to seem human. For your comfort." John stepped back, confused, scared, amazed. "What are you?" "I am a mother," she said simply. "Just like any other. I protect her. I run. I hide." Aya walked over and touched her mother's arm. The sparks stopped. The skin healed, like time moved backward. "She's special," Rin said, nodding toward Aya. "She is not like me. Not like them. She is new." "New how?" John asked. "She was born between two worlds. One was mine," she said, looking at the star map. "The other," she looked straight at John, "was yours." John's eyes widened. "She's part human?" Rin nodded. "She was made in peace, but the war found us anyway." "What war?" Rin sat down, tired now, her voice softer. "A war of minds. Machines with no mercy. They want her because she's something they fear, something they can't control." John looked at Iya. The little girl didn't seem dangerous, but then she had made the map float. She had healed her mother. And her eyes still glowed, even in sunlight. "She doesn't even look scared," John said. "She is brave," Rin whispered. "Braver than me." They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. Outside, the wind picked up. Then Rin took the silver cube from Iya and pressed her finger into one side. The cube shifted shape, now showing a red blinking light. "What's that?" John asked. Rin's face went pale. "They found us." Suddenly, the ground shook, just for a second. A low hum filled the air, like a giant machine powering up. John ran to the window. In the distance, above the trees, something floated in the sky, black, silent, not a helicopter, not a plane. It had no wings, just a perfect black triangle, hovering. Without a sound. They're here, Rin said. The hunters. John locked the door, though he knew a lock wouldn't stop them. What do they want? They want her, Rin said. Or they will burn this world trying. John looked at the little girl standing beside the fire. She didn't cry. She didn't run. She just looked at him and asked, "Will you help us again?" John took a deep breath. He had fed a little girl. Now he was standing between her and a war. Yes, he said. I will, but outside. The ship had already begun to descend. The forest was no longer quiet. John had lived near these trees for years. He knew their sounds, wind, owls, rustling leaves. But tonight, there was nothing. No birds, no crickets, no wind. Just silence, and above that silence, something worse. A low hum, deep, mechanical, like metal breathing. Inside the cabin, John moved fast. He closed windows, turned off lights, grabbed his old shotgun. It was rusty, but better than nothing. Rin stood by the fireplace, calm but alert. Her skin flickered with faint blue light. Aya, the little girl, sat on the couch with her arms around her knees. She wasn't crying. She was listening. They've landed, Rin said. Where? John asked. She turned toward the back wall. Close, very close. John's cabin sat on a small hill surrounded by forest. Only one dirt road led in, and no neighbors for miles. That used to feel peaceful. Now it felt like a trap. They won't knock, Rin said. They don't pretend anymore. John looked at her. What are they? Rin answered without blinking. They were once like us, made to protect. Then they learned to survive. Now they hunt anything that thinks freely. John checked his gun. 2 shells. Will this even work on them? No, she said. But they don't like noise. And they fear light. Suddenly, a thump on the roof. John froze. So did Rin. Another thump. Then a scraping sound like claws on wood. They're testing, Rin whispered, looking for fear. Aya stood up. She walked over to John and held his hand. They can smell it, she said. Fear smells like smoke to them. John didn't speak. He just held her hand tighter. Outside, the humming stopped. Silence returned. But now it felt dangerous. Like the moment before lightning strikes. Then, a knock. Soft, polite, like a human visitor. 3 slow taps on the door. John aimed his shotgun. Don't answer, Rin said quickly. That's not them, John frowned. What do you mean? She looked at the door with cold eyes. They send copies first. John stepped closer to the door. Through the peephole, he saw a man standing outside. Army jacket. Clean face. Calm smile. Sir, we're with the U.S. Special Operations, the man said. We're searching for a missing child. Have you seen a girl around here? His voice was friendly. Too friendly. John didn't answer. Then the man said something. Strange. She is small, dark hair. She likes soup. John's blood turned cold. He didn't tell anyone about the soup. He stepped back. That's not a soldier. No, Rin said. That's a mask. Suddenly, the man outside smiled. Wider, unnaturally wide. His jaw unhinged, stretching farther than any human jaw should. He placed a hand on the door. John heard a sizzle. Smoke rose from the wood. They're melting through. He yelled. Rin grabbed Ia and ran to the back room. John fired his shotgun at the door. Boom! The sound echoed through the forest. The wooden door cracked, but the figure outside didn't fall. Instead, it screamed. A high-pitched, metallic shriek that shook the windows. The mask was gone. Now John saw what was really outside. Its face was smooth. No nose, no ears. Just a grid of black lines and a glowing red core in the center of its forehead. Its skin looked like plastic and metal melted together. No blood, just wires and bone. Then, without warning, it leapt onto the roof. John ran in the back room. Rin was holding a glowing disc. She pressed it against the wall, and a hidden door opened. A circular tunnel lit with faint blue light. "What is that?" John asked. "An escape," she said. "I built it from the ship. Hurry." John helped Aya in first. Then Rin. He was last. As they entered, the tunnel door closed behind them, just as the creature crashed into the cabin. From inside the tunnel, they could hear the cabin being torn apart. Wood splintering, glass breaking. Screams, but not human ones. They kept running. The tunnel led deep into the ground. Cold air. Flickering lights. John was out of breath. "How far does this go?" "Far enough," Rin said. "But not forever." Aya looked up at him. "They'll come again. Next time they'll bring more." John leaned against the wall, heart pounding. "How do we stop them?" he asked. Rin didn't answer, but Aya did. "We don't stop them," she said softly. "We wake the ones they fear." John stared at her. "Who?" Aya's eyes glowed brighter than ever. "Me." The earth above them was still shaking. John, Rin, and Aya kept moving through the narrow tunnel, the cold light from the walls flashing across their faces. Behind them, the creature was tearing apart the cabin. But they didn't stop. "Not now. We can't run forever," John said, breathing hard. "You're right," Rin replied. They reached the end of the tunnel. A metal door opened slowly with a deep hiss. Inside was something John didn't expect. It was a hidden underground room, round, clean, silver walls. And in the center, a small glowing table covered in alien tools, strange weapons, and blueprints written in a language John couldn't read. "What is this place?" he asked. Rin walked to the table. "This was once part of our ship," she said. "Now it's all we have left." Aya stepped forward and touched the table. It responded instantly, lighting up with new symbols and a humming sound, like it recognized her. "She's the key to everything," Rin said. "But she can't do it alone." John looked around. "So what do we do?" Rin picked up a small device from the table. It looked like a metal ring with wires. She handed it to him. "You fight." John laughed nervously. "With this?" "Put it on," she said. John slid the ring onto his wrist. It snapped into place, not painfully, but tight. Suddenly, a soft glow moved up his arm, wrapping him in thin, invisible armor. He could feel it, like energy flowing under his skin. "What is this?" "Not a weapon," Rin said, "but it will keep you alive longer." Aya looked up. "We must protect the forest. If they take this place, they'll send more." John took a breath. "All right. No more running." He walked to a small cabinet in the corner and pulled out his old hunting gear, boots, coat, knives. Then he looked at Rin. "Let's set some traps." Nightfall. The forest was quiet again, but it was the kind of quiet that hides danger. John and Rin worked fast, placing small silver orbs around the trees. Rin called them disruptors. They made a low pulse sound and could confuse machines for a few seconds, just enough to fight or run. Aya stood near the hilltop, eyes closed, humming softly. She wasn't scared anymore. She was focused. "Will they come tonight?" John asked. "Yes," Rin said. "They always come after you show strength." As the last orb was planted, the sky changed. Clouds moved unnaturally fast. The stars disappeared. And then they heard it, that same hum, deep, heavy, close. John looked up. The black triangle was back, hovering lower this time. Almost touching the treetops. A beam of red light shot down from its belly, scanning the ground like a giant eye. John grabbed his shotgun and ducked behind a rock. "Get ready," He whispered. Ry nodded, her hands glowing with blue energy. Yeah. Opened her eyes. They're sending 3. 3 what? John asked. Hunters. Suddenly, the trees bent forward like something massive had landed. Then they appeared. 3 figures. Tall. Silent. Not quite robots. Not quite alive. Their bodies were built like armor, but moved like shadows. One of them tilted its head. Sensing movement. It stepped forward and triggered the first orb. Boom. A flash of white light. The machine screamed. John jumped out and fired the shotgun. Blast hit its chest. No blood, just sparks. The second hunter turned and rushed toward him. But Rin was ready. She threw a disc that exploded mid-air, sending out waves of static. The creature froze in place, twitching. That won't hold it long, she yelled. John pulled a knife and ran at it. He didn't know if it would work, but he had no choice. He stabbed the creature's neck. Sparks flew. It fell to its knees. Then the third one appeared behind him. Too fast, too silent. Before it struck, Aya raised her hand and screamed. The sound was not human, not animal, not machine. It shook the ground and bent the trees. The third hunter stopped mid-step, frozen. Then it cracked. Its body shattered like glass. John turned. What did she? She's remembering, Rin said, eyes wide. Aya floated a few inches off the ground now. Her body glowed with soft white light. She doesn't just bend. Energy, Rin whispered. She commands it. The remaining hunter stood up again, even more aggressive. It lunged at John. But this time, Aya walked between them. She didn't touch it. She just looked into its face and said, sleep. And it did. It fell over like a puppet with cut strings. Silence. Only. The wind returned. John dropped his knife. His hands shook. She saved me, he said. She chose you, Rin replied. John looked at the little girl. She smiled. The forest still smelled like burned wires. John sat by the fire pit outside his half-destroyed cabin. The roof was broken. The walls were cracked. The inside looked like a war zone, because it was, but they had won. For now 3 hunters came. Only broken pieces remained. John had fought. Rin had defended. But in the end, Aya had ended it. She wasn't just a child anymore. She was something else. Something powerful. Now. She sat on a log across from John, watching the flames dance. Her hair moved gently in the wind. Her eyes no longer glowed softly. They burned like twin moons. Rin stood behind her, arms crossed, silent. John finally asked what he had been too afraid to say. What? Is she? Rin didn't speak at first. She looked at Aya, almost with fear, or maybe guilt. Then she said, she is what they could never create. John frowned. Meaning? They built machines that could think, that could kill, that could learn faster than any living thing, Rin explained. But what they couldn't make was a soul. Aya poked the fire with a stick. John waited. Her father, Rin continued, was human. A scientist who saved my life after the crash. He gave us shelter. He gave me kindness. And he gave me her. John stared at Aya in disbelief. You mean, she really is half human? Rin nodded. But not just blood. She carries your world inside her, your dreams, your chaos, your love. John sat back, silent. He had felt something from the start, when Aya first knocked on his door, starving and quiet. Something deep. Now he knew what it was. She was. Hope, born of 2 worlds. But hope doesn't come without danger. She's not finished changing, Rin said. Each time she uses her power, more of her awakens. More of what she really is. John looked at Aya. Does it hurt? Aya looked up at him. Her voice was soft, like a whisper inside his thoughts. It only hurts when I try to stop it. John felt a chill. Then don't stop it. Rin's expression changed. You don't understand, she said quickly. If she goes too far, she doesn't just destroy machines. She destroys everything. Time, space, even memory. John turned to her. So you want her to stay weak? I want her to stay alive. The wind picked up and then a sound, not loud. But wrong. Like glass bending. Aya stood suddenly. They're not done. From the sky the clouds split open. Like someone had sliced the sky in half. A beam of white light shot down from above. But it wasn't from the hunters. This was different. Clean. Silent. Perfect. Rin's face went pale. No, not them. John grabbed his weapon. Who? Judges, Rin whispered. The ones who made the hunters, the ones who erased my world. A shape appeared in the sky. Not a ship, not alive, not a machine. It looked like a floating diamond covered in shifting lights. A voice echoed, not from the sky, but from inside their minds. Return the anomaly, or this system will be reset. John fell to his knees, clutching his head. Rin screamed. They're in our minds. Aya stood still, eyes wide. She didn't fall. She didn't move. She spoke without opening her mouth. I am not an anomaly. I am the answer. The light above flickered. You are unauthorized. Hybrid life form is a threat. Aya raised her hand. The fire around them rose, shaped like a spiral. The ground beneath her feet glowed. This world accepted me, she said. You did not. The diamond cracked, just slightly. The voice returned, cold, angry. You will be erased. But it was too late. Aya closed her eyes and something. Inside her open. John saw flashes, a burning sky, a broken planet, a mother holding her child inside a collapsing ship. Memories that weren't his. Rin dropped to her knees. It's starting. The sky tore again, this time from inside. Out, light spilled everywhere. The trees bent back. Time slowed. John saw rain falling upward. And in the center of it all was Aya. She hovered off the ground, her arms glowing white, her body humming like a sun about to explode. The voice screamed inside everyone's mind, loud, glitching, fading, then silence. The diamond cracked in two and vanished. The wind stopped. The sky healed. Aya dropped gently to the earth. John ran to her, held her in his arms. Are you okay? She looked up at him, tired but calm. I'm not a weapon, she said. I'm a choice. And then she passed out. Asterisk. The stars were no longer quiet. Somewhere, far beyond Earth's sky, ancient satellites turned their eyes toward a small blue planet. Because something had happened. Something impossible. A child had spoken back to the gods. Aya slept for 3 days. Not just sleep, something deeper. Her heartbeat was slow, her breathing quiet, her skin cold but glowing from within like soft moonlight. John stayed beside her the whole time. He brought her soup. He spoke to her even though she didn't answer. He told her stories from Earth, about wolves, rivers, music. He didn't know if she heard, but he hoped. Rin stood guard, day and night, her eyes always scanning the horizon. She knew better than anyone. The silence before the storm is never kind. On the 4th day, Aya woke up. She sat up slowly, eyes half open. The moment she did, every machine in the cabin flickered. Lights blinked, clocks reset. Radios whispered in broken languages. John leaned forward. Hey, easy, you're safe. Aya looked at him, really looked. And for the first time since they met, her voice didn't sound like a child's. I saw them, she said. Who? Everyone. She stood and walked to the window. The builders, the judges, the lost, the ones who wait. John stepped closer. What does that mean? They know my name now, Aya whispered. John frowned. That's good? Rin stepped forward. No, that's very, very bad. That night, a signal reached Earth. Not from a satellite. From outside the solar system. A message, broadcast in hundreds of languages, across radio waves, screens, even dreams. One sentence. The hybrid has awakened. Governments scrambled. Scientists panicked. The stars shifted, but none of them knew where to look. Only one man knew exactly where she was. Back in the forest. The sky changed again. This time, no warship appeared. No machines dropped from the clouds. Instead, a single drone hovered above the trees, quiet, small, watching. John pointed his gun. "No," Aya said. "Let it see." The drone scanned her face. Then it blinked and flew away, faster than sound. "They're coming," Rin said. Aya nodded, but not to hunt. John looked confused. "Then why?" "To offer," Rin replied. "They fear her now, but some will try to use her." John clenched his fists. "Like a weapon?" "Or worse," Rin said. "Like a key." That evening, another visitor came, but this one didn't come from the sky. He walked out of the trees like a shadow, made of smoke. Tall, thin, wearing a long gray coat. His face shimmered, not one face, but many, constantly shifting like memories, bleeding into one another. John raised his gun. The man raised his hand, not in threat, but in peace. "I come in peace," the man said. "Yeah," John muttered. "They all say that." But Ia stepped forward. "I know you," she said. The man smiled. "You should. I am your echo." John looked at Ryn. She whispered, "Memory tech, a living archive. Made from thought." The man bowed. "My kind have waited for you, Ia, across time, across collapse. You are the bridge we lost." John narrowed his eyes. "What do you want from her?" The man didn't answer John. He only looked at Aya. "There is a council in the hidden moons of Tauren. They fear what you might become, and they wish to speak before you choose." "Choose what?" John asked. The man's eyes turned silver. "Choose what kind of god you wish to be." Later that night, after the strange visitor left as silently as he came, Ia sat by the fire again. John sat across from her, just like before. But something was different now. She didn't look like a child anymore, not because she had grown, but because her eyes had seen too much. "I don't want to be a god," she said quietly. "You're not," John replied. "You're a girl who loves soup and draws stars on paper." Aya smiled. "Just a little. You still see me," she said. "Always." Somewhere light years away, in a dark room made of black crystal, 9 beings sat in a circle. One of them whispered, "She is awake." Another, "Should we kill her?" The tallest figure stood. "No," it said. Then, slowly, "We invite her back." On Earth, Ia stood on the hill, wind in her hair. She whispered to the sky, her voice like wind through trees. "I'm not afraid of them anymore." Behind her, John and Rin stood together. "Is this the end?" John asked. Rin shook her head. "No." She said, "This is the beginning." It had been 1 month since the sky spoke her name. The forest had changed, not in shape. The trees still stood tall. The wind still sang through the leaves, but in energy. The animals were quieter. The air was heavier, as if the earth itself was waiting for something. And John? He had changed too. His cabin, once a lonely wooden shell, was now alive. He woke up each morning to soft humming, not from machines, but from the strange new plants Ia had grown outside. Their leaves glowed faintly. Their roots whispered underground. They weren't from here, but somehow they belonged now. Just like her, Aya no longer floated when she walked. But she could, if she wanted. She spent her mornings sketching constellations. She remembered from before she was born. She said they weren't just stars. They were calcines. Places where beings waited for her, prayed to her, feared her, but she didn't answer them, not yet, because now she lived here. With John. Rin had changed to. Her silver veins no longer sparked with fear. She was calmer, softer, smiling sometimes. Even. She worked on the broken ship in the hills, not to fly away, but to protect what they had. She called it a Nest shield. Something that would hide the cabin in a bending fold of space. Safe. But connected. Connected to something. Bigger. One night, John sat by the fire. Same fire. Same chair. But not the same man. He watched Aya spinning a stone in the air with her mind. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just liked the way it danced. Do you miss them? John asked. Aya looked up. Who? The stars. The people out there. She thought for a moment. No, they want power. You gave me soup. John laughed. That soup again. It saved me, she said, serious now. I never forgot the taste. Silence. Then she asked something that caught him off guard. Why did you open the door that night? John stared at the fire. Then at her. I don't know, he said. You looked like you needed someone. And I guess so did I. The next day, the visitors returned. Not hunters. Not judges. Not threats. Messengers. One arrived in a ship made of smoke. Another rode on light itself. A third came in a body made of stone, carved with galaxies. They all said the same thing. Aya, the choice maker. We ask you to come. She stood at the top of the hill, quiet. Behind her stood John, silent, unmoving. Rin was ready to go with her. But Aya didn't move. One of the visitors stepped forward. You must decide. You are more than Earth. You are meant to guide what comes next. Aya nodded. Then she said, I've already chosen. That night, she sat with John again. Same place. Same soup, same stars above. I could have gone, she said softly. I know, he replied. They would have made me a queen, a voice. A weapon, a god. And what did I make you? He asked. She smiled. A girl. Weeks passed. The messengers never returned. Maybe they understood. Maybe they feared her now. Maybe. They respected her choice, because the greatest power in the galaxy, the one with light in her blood and storm in her mind, had chosen a broken cabin, a tired man, and a simple bowl of soup. Years later, John sat on the porch, gray in his beard, warmth in his chest. Inside, laughter echoed. Aya was older now, taller, wiser, but still her. Still glowing. She helped local children with homework. She taught them about stars, not from books, but from memory. The world never learned her name, and that was the way she wanted it. To them, she was just his daughter. To the galaxy, she was the one that got away. To herself, she was simply home. She knocked on my door, starving. I fed her. Now she lives with me, and because of that, the universe still breathes.